Okay, folks, back again, and it's been several hours here, and these guys should be ready to paint up. So we're going to plan on, the goal is going to be to paint up these bases and put the Moldavian flag on here. That is what we're going to plan on doing tonight. And if we do anything more than that, well, then we did more than that. So let's put the thing on our basing and get out the first color, which is going to be chocolate brown. Got a lot of painting today. It takes time. All right. Let's do a couple things. Let's move these guys off to the side here. They're kind of in the way. And then let's get a brush we don't love so much. Not one that's horrible, but maybe this one right here. Maybe, just maybe. And we're going to try to get in between the legs here first. Randy Collins, good evening. Did a bunch of basing myself today. Excellent. Randy, what part of the world do you live in? I think you're in the U.S. Yeah, I could be doing other stuff, but the reality is I got to get this stuff done anyways. So I can't think of anything better that I could be doing. You know, as opposed to like, watching television or movies or something like that. That's just pretty much a waste compared to this. Flagler Beach. Oh, you're just around the corner. Well, if you're over in Gainesville, let us know. You know we play on Mondays. That's close, man. Joe's over in Jacksonville. He comes down pretty frequently. Um, we just play on Mondays because that's Mitch's weekend is Monday, Tuesday, and I've got normal. I got normal person hours. I don't work on the weekends. You got some of that weather then too this morning, and today is just beautiful. Today is just beautiful. If you lived there long, I've been in this area since 1981, so I wish we were closer to the beach, but then I don't have to worry about storms. You know, hurricanes just not a big deal. That coast isn't bad either, where you're at. Historically. That's an invite. Sign up for several games at Recon. Awesome. Sounds great. Just so you know how Recon works, you don't have to sign up. I mean, it's okay if you sign up, but you'll be able to play. Don't think that, oh, I don't know if I can get in on time. You'll be able to play and everything, so, you know. And if you watched our videos, at least you got a clue. We're going to be doing kind of standard stuff until the convention, meaning we're probably not going to do any blind general and just kind of standard games so that it'll be more of the stuff that you should be familiar with before. And yeah, if we have 8 players in every tournament, we'll be doing real good. I actually got an email from the guy that runs stuff in Washington State, runs the DBA scene up in Washington State, and he works for an airline. And I've interacted with him several times. As a matter of fact, the Byzantines that I got from the French manufacturer were from him. He offered them for somebody to buy them a couple of years ago, and I was able to jump on them and got a really good deal on them and something that wasn't available. His name's Paul Hanna, and he's pretty active. And he sent me an email saying that he works for an airline, so he gets really good rates. And he said he was planning on coming down and playing DBA. So that's pretty cool. We've had somebody from Wales come. Well, they just happen to be in the neighborhood. It's not like they made a trip specifically for that. And occasionally have David Sheps. He's up in the Detroit area. He's not able to make it this time because he's got a recital, I think, that his daughter is doing on that same weekend. But we'll get people from other places. It's funny, you don't get the local folks, but we get people from different places. Still debating about playing in your collision course. It's 9 a.m., so I have to get a hotel room. Okay, so you're just coming for the day. Okay. That's Saturday. You've been here since 2017. Oh, okay, well, that's just the other day. Mitch is the noob, and he's been here since 2010, I think. 2011, something like that. I'm a lifer. I'm a lifer. You're originally from Detroit. Do you know David Sheps? Yeah, he comes down. He works for Ford. He comes down pretty regularly. He's probably a guy that he doesn't have a ton of hobbies. So it sounds crazy to travel down to Florida maybe for a convention, but he works it together with his family family. I think his parents live in Florida, and he kind of coordinates everything all together. And of course, everything went kind of sideways with the whole COVID thing with people's plans and stuff like that. But yeah, he's come down. When we go to Historicon, it's funny, we won't get any players from the Pennsylvania area. Mitch and I travel 14 and a half hours. There's lots of Canadians that travel. Um, yeah, the collision course works a lot better on 24-inch boards. The game's over a little quicker, and it's normally a game being long isn't really that much of a problem in our own setting, but at a convention where we have strict 4 hour things, it's difficult to get 3 games in if they run long sometimes, and they're newer players. Where you have to explain things, and you'd be surprised how much time it takes to move from one table to the next. Even though the tables are right next to each other, by the time you pack up your stuff and move over to the table right next to you, and you say your pleasantries about with your new opponent and all that stuff, the time gets eaten up. Which I am not a big time enforcer. This is about having fun, not necessarily go 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 go. But do need to get the 3 games in. I think having the 24-inch board for the collision course worked nicely for that, because it wasn't unusual for collision course games to run into the hour and a half territory. And you need to make sure that you get all the games in. But I think the most people we've ever had in an event, and it was when I first started playing DBA, it was like 14. I don't think we've ever had more than 14. So, 10 is a good number. But the reality is, if you got 4, who cares? If you got 3, who cares? You know? So you got your own armies and you paint. Well, that's good. I take it you paint if you're doing basing. There's not very many painters around anymore. You got most people are like Mitch or anything. They'll see what's for sale. They're not going to paint. I'm the opposite. I don't mind interested in something else that somebody else painted. That kind of defeats the purpose. But I'd probably be better off just working a part-time job to pay for somebody else painting my miniatures. It'd be more time efficient, you know. 3 games, I assumed 4, which I thought was tight for 4 hours. Nah, it's 3. We do 3. That way you don't have to rush. So usually the way every one of the events is we have a slip of paper on which point you would fill out your name, what army you're running, your army composition, because it can't change from game to game. It can if it's one of those armies that it can deploy as either one. An example would be, I have to look in the book, but there's some armies that can. My Burgundians. My Burgundians have a single line, so it would be like a knight / blade. I think one of the lines is three knights / blade. So they deploy either as knights or as blade, but you bring them onto the field as either one. And then the double slashes you can dismount. They of course have to start as the mounted element. But those are really the exception of the rules. You pretty much have to pick one denomination how you're going to run the army through the 3 games. And a year in the time span that the army is. So if you've got an army that goes from 1450 AD to 1477, You need to pick a year between that. Write it down. That's only important for the initial pairing. So what you do is after everybody's turned in their paperwork, you compare closest years. So, the two earliest fight the two earliest, then the next two earliest fight, and so forth. And in the case that two of the armies happen to be the same army, so in other words, if both people are running, two people are playing Marian Romans, you'll skip to the next closest one. So if you don't want to start off with a civil war, because it's just boring to do that. And then after that, the next round is whoever got the highest scores play each other. Whoever got the lowest scores play each other, and then you figure everything else in the middle. And then if a civil war happens, then you got to play it. But I try to avoid civil wars as much as possible, at least in the initial pairing. And then after that, it just depends on where you fall in the whole bracket. My Gazgan army, which I'm working on the general, can be either warband or light chariot. What book are they? Book 1-4 or something like that? I don't know my book 1 stuff very well. That sounds about right. Book 1-4. Holy shit, I got it right. Okay, so you have to pick one or the other. If you've got your book in front of you, so you'd have to pick one or the other, and you're going to want to pick the light chariot because you need some maneuverability. And then, so you just have to pick. Okay, I'm going to run a light chariot, and then I'm going to run the 3 war bands as the elite warriors. Then you want to run maybe 2 auxilia and another war band, and then the 6 soldier, the rest of them. So that is an extremely light army. That's for Fast and Furious. Certainly, you're using those Coruscant figures. Those actually look pretty cool. The hill people. Hill people, they're the... Now, I'll give it to Coruscant. They do subjects that not everybody does. Which, is welcome. And they started off just doing Coruscantian armies whenever they came out. 2014, something like that. 2013, 12, something. I forget when it is. That's where they got their name, and I'm like, they're just going to do those, and now they're, they've expanded faster than anybody I've ever seen expand. So I guess things are going well for them. I just don't need any of their stuff because, as you can see, if you watched my feed earlier, I got plenty of lead. I got plenty of lead. So... paint the edges of this, and then we need to go take care of something, and I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm kind of bacheloring it this weekend. The wife's not here, but I do have to babysit the daughter and the boyfriend. So they have supposedly left for a little while. So got some peace and quiet and uninterruptionness. Planning using the General's Light Cherry and then 2 Auxilia. Okay. Yeah, that's probably how I'd run them as well. Probably how to run them well. Okay, I'll be right back. You have a mountain of lead and, of course, the stash of plastic. Okay, I'll be right back. And we will put a sign that says so. Okay, and we're back. CJ Hobbyfly, welcome back. Long time no see. Ish. Long time no hear. Long time no read. Yeah. All right, now we do not need to use the wet palette anymore because the other colors that we're going to use are going to be dry brushy. And those guys are... Nope, not English uniform. Not that one. Wish I could get the light to shine on over here where it's at. Field drab and Iraqi sand. And Iraqi sand, I think, is this one. Nope. Yes, it is. That's it. Iraqi sand. And we need a dry brushing area. Been busy working around the UK, been watching your vids, but not had a chance to catch a live. Excellent. Welcome back. Working around the UK. Working your way around the UK. A dry brush. One that's not too expensive. Wow, it's getting kind of hard to find one that... It's not in good a shape, but not too nappy. He's kind of shitty. I have a feeling it's a bad place for those brushes to be. Let's put them over here. All right. Three coats. This is number 2. And we'll do this. We'll do the third color. We will do some grassage and some tuftage, and paint the edge, and then we'll put a flag on there, and then we'll roll back into the poles. And that's it. No more Valachians. No more Valachians. No more Moldavians. You've painted up some Essex mini stuff. I wondered if you or anyone in the chat knows any other manufacturers of minis for that period. Oh, let me go back. I actually have a query for you, Tony. If you don't mind, I'm building a couple of forces for the Second Barons' War, 1260s, England and Wales. You painted up some Essex mini stuff. Wondered, oh, all kinds of people make stuff like that. Old Glory makes it. You're basically looking for like 1260s. You're looking for guys with barrel type helms for the most part. Old Glory guys make that. But Old Glory's in the U.S., so you probably don't want to use them. There's a company called I'd have to look, but there's a company called 15 millimeter Quick Reaction Force, and they have a feudal range, and I think they probably have some knights of that period. Of course, the minifig stuff, although they're kind of hit or miss as far as where they're at. Essex, the problem with Essex figures of the knights is sometimes they just have really awkward poses. They paint up nicely. If you get guys that don't have awkward poses, they paint up okay. Like these guys, they're not too strange. Let me think. Who else makes them in 15? I don't know if Legio Heroica does guys that are late enough. Oh, Coruscant. Coruscant makes lots of stuff, but again, they're in New York, so you're going to be painting out the nose for them. You have Donington. Donington's there in the UK, and they've got lots of different stuff, and they do a whole feudal range of stuff, and they sell them by the each. That'd be a treasure trove for me, but the shipping kills me. The shipping on Donington stuff was bad even before the pandemic and the EU business. So shipping was always really expensive. That didn't keep me from ordering from them, though. I ordered 2 elephants from them and paid more in shipping than they actually cost. Of course, that was about a decade ago, but who else can I think of? Yeah, Donington sells them by the each. 1260s. You're looking for barrel helms, sugarloaf helms. Not quite into the hound skull stuff. That's the 1300 stuff. Baron's War. That's Simon de Montfort, right? Battle of, is it Lewes? Lewes, I think is how you say it. Lewes. Yeah. Who else can I think of that does stuff like that? 1260s. Yeah, I would use Old Glory, but I'm here in the U.S. only because they have pretty decent poses. Their horses look like freaking night horses, like you're gonna crash into somebody and Finished a baggage element today, 40 by 40, in case I play collision course. I'll post a photo tomorrow on Facebook DBA. Awesome. Coruscant makes some, yeah. Magister Militum. I'll give Donington a search on Google. Cheers for the heads up. Yeah, Simon de Montfort, etc. Yeah, Lewis. Pronounced Lewis, yeah. Even though you'd think it would be Lewes. It's French, it's Louis. Simon de Montfort. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, I don't know too much about the history of that period. I know that whoever he was fighting against, That would have been before. That would have been before Longshanks. Yeah. So yeah, you got King John, and then I don't know. I don't really know what's going on in that time period in the UK. I'm sorry, in Britain. Oh, I'm sorry, it's England. Yeah, I've got a Longshanks army that I'm going to do at some point because Kurosan actually make a Longshanks figure. So. All right, we're good with that color. Shitty ass King John, everybody's favorite king. Phil Barker says he's a brilliant general. Who's the guy who really sucked? The guy that came after Longshanks. Longshanks' son. He was a piece of work, wasn't he? He was fighting Henry III, whose son was Longshanks. Okay. Yeah, Longshanks' son was a piece of work. I don't remember which brush I was using. I think it was this one. I don't want to destroy every brush I have. The Barons' War. There was two battles, and I've got one of those little scenario books for DBA type games, and it has come out a long time ago. And there's two battles that are included there in the Barons' War, if I remember correctly. And Lewis was the second battle. So they have the first one where de Montfort was victorious, whatever it was called. I think I got that right. And Lewis was when he was defeated, if I remember correctly. If I remember incorrectly, well, there you go. I don't have the army. I don't war game that period, so there's no reason I should know. I'm just nosy and try to Go through that. I went through the. I've listened to the Plantagenet book, I think twice, by Dan Jones. That's just a period in it that I didn't find particularly interesting, you know. But that's okay. Longshanks son was Edward II. He wasn't great. Country was in turmoil because of obsession with Piers Galveston and probably Hugh Despenser Jr. after Galveston was murdered. Yeah. Khorasan has a pre-Vedic Indian army, which I'm thinking about. They do? All foot troops, probably. No chariots, no elephants, I would imagine. Pre-Vedic Indian, yeah, there are a lot of bowmen. As Mitch would say, fating. Lots of fatinging there. All right. Now, let's get that color and give them a little wash. Pale sand, I think is what it's called. Yeah. But if I war gamed a certain period, that's how I learn about history. Like I can participate about it. So like what's really when you start talking about like history where there's a lot of like backstabbing and turncoats and this guy's on this side but he turns around and ends up backstabbing him and now he's on the other. It gets really complicated if you're not doing it with maps and that kind of stuff. At one point, one of the armies to do on my list is a Welsh army, and that's particularly that the way with that stuff. So, and that other language that they speak, whew, with the pure consonants, consonants to the max. Alex, I'd like to buy a value. You can't afford it. You're Welsh. Stick with consonants. Okay. The rocks are done. Now we're going to go ahead and paint the edge. They'll let that dry, and then we can start doing grassage and such. Where is me black? Here. Oh. Come on. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of those histories that are a lot of really convoluted. War of the Roses. Actually, War of the Roses wasn't that bad. That Dan Jones book really kind of tied it all together. Wasn't too bad. The Byzantine stuff. But that feudal English army list covers a huge period of time. I mean, it covers everything between the who would it be? Henry the First, and the guy who was the father of Richard the Lionheart. I think that's Henry the First. between his reign all the way up to the beginning of the Hundred Years' War. That's a long period of time. And there's some options for the army list, but I think for the most part, it's what, a knight general, 3 other knights, 2 hordes, and then you've got some mixture of bowmen. So you have some fast longbowmen, which are Welsh, and I think they even have a crossbowman or something like that. Just kind of a really huge period of time where they would look significantly different from one edge or the other. You know, they start off looking very Norman-like, or Norman. They're leaving the Norman period, and then they look, you know, totally different towards the end of beginning of the 100 Years' War list. Okay, so this is what the stand looks like without grass and tuftage. Been to Wales several times on business. That language of theirs is something else. The spelling. The spelling is freaking crazy. 1881 to 1322. Yeah, that's a huge period of time. An army in 1181 looks very different from one in the 1300s. Very, very physically different. Very, very different. You go from nasal helms to those. Well, I just mentioned whatever they were called the other day. Sugarloaf. And it's starting to get into very, very different. You go from no heraldry to heraldry. Okay, we need to get some more tea. I'm not even going to shut this thing down. We'll just let it roll. Be right back. I just want to know one thing. Is everybody's ice machine a bitch or just mine? I always have to fight with it. Whoever designed it, the mouth of it is not big enough to have 2 ice cubes. Sometimes an ice cube comes out and I guess they're kind of shaped like this, side by side, in semicircles. And if 2 of them come together, it'll block the whole mouth and it just freaks out, So, wouldn't be that big of a deal if it didn't happen like every freaking time. And I'm such an ice whore. I love ice. All right. let's get some tuftage here. Yeah. Yeah. Which one am I missing? Ah, this one. I know which one I'm missing, but I can't find it here. Not that, not this one. These two are the same. I don't know how the hell it ends up being the same, but it is. And I need the one they call swamp tuft. Oh, Christ. What am I going to learn? What am I going to learn? This little effing cart. I need to get in the habit of pulling it out here. Because I got everything organized, but I'm trying to do it around a corner. Alright, let's put all this stuff back. God, I hate chaos. Alright, pins. I don't use pins very often. You sons of bitches go down there. Alright. I had to wait for the frickin' edge of the black edge to dry anyways. Oh, Christ. Here's the swamp tufts. I organized this the other day so everything would be kind of in order. And it's a slippery fucker is what it is. Pins down here, they don't get used very often. Epoxy putty almost never gets used. Get the hell out of here. Alright, the pennies get used. Temporary basing. These pennies. Okay. Good? Alright. Swamp tufts don't need lowland shrubs. I think we were using these. Those are the three we were using. Okay. I'm just leaving the card out. As I should. What did I just sit on? Stuff that can't break, but... We'll get this shit later. That's why I look at people's work areas that are like the epitome of chaos, and I just couldn't work there. There's no way I could work there. Okay, speaking of heraldry, are there manufacturers or shield decals at 15 millimeter scale for that period? I don't know. You would probably look. Well, that's flags. I was going to say Donington has, but Donington has flags. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. If I was building a feudal English army, I'd tell you right now, I'd build one around Falkirk, because there's a lot of information on the heraldry, specifically at Falkirk, on that Falkirk roll. And that's what I would base mine on. Just because that's available. All right. Let's pull these candidates out of here. Swamp tufts. 1, 2. Put this thing away. Alright, these autumn sons of bitches. 1, 2. I'm going to end up not using of these, but I'm just pulling 2 of each one. dark moss. 2 of these. I've become so dependent on glasses, and these are just these are the glasses to make up for my contacts. So I'm used to wearing contacts all the time, but I can't look at any of this close-up stuff anymore without. How did these guys get underneath here? Okay, so we got that. Then we have to get Elmer's out here. All right, what I like to do is I like to use the grass as an added advantage of covering up mistakes. Now, one thing I'm going to need is this little container. I'll carry the figures over there. I thought it was sitting up here. I got to take this stuff off the couch tomorrow. It's driving me bananas. Use a Baker Straight to put it on here. Tried refreehanding some of my first minis. The factors I'm doing are declares, which is fairly easy. It's 3 red chevronnels on a yellow shield, okay. But I'm also doing Richard Cornwall's, which is a big arsed red line, and mine looks like roadkill on the shield. I love painting lions, but man, you got to take it slow. You gotta take it slow, but they're cool. They're not for beginners for sure. I've done 2 of them on video. I like them. Only thing I refuse to paint if I do 100 Years War English. What's that little, the ermine, or ermine, which is the white background with all like the little dashes and shit. It almost looks like that East German camouflage. Remember that the East Germans had on their uniforms in the late 80s? Well, and earlier than that. I'm not doing that shit. That just looks wrong. And I also don't like the crests that have like a crest and has the red slash through it. Like any kind of a slash through it. It just looks wrong. Some things just look wrong. I forget what it means. It means that the person's a bastard, or it's a cadet branch, or something like that. You're a bastard. You get a red slash through your emblem. Oh, Cat Roger, welcome back. Will there be any vendors at Recon or exclusively games? There will be vendors at Recon. You're going to have a hard time finding anything 15 millimeter related. There was one vendor that used to carry stuff, but he's kind of gotten out of doing that. But there's probably 10 vendors, 11 vendors. But more than, that's not a convention you go to buy things. Yeah, they have things for sale, but some people have wares that aren't historical, or maybe they're in 28 millimeter. Lots of gamers are into lots of different stuff. So I'm not interested in a bunch of other different periods, but there have been board games and paints and that kind of stuff. There's 8 and then there's also a flea market on Saturday. I think it's on Saturday evening. It's on Friday evening or Saturday evening. I don't know what it is. So you can get some stuff there at the flea market as well. But remember, you got to get stuff that other people don't want. So It's hard if you're doing in 15 millimeter historicals to find somebody that has other stuff. So you just never know. You just don't go with the intention that you're gonna buy all this stuff, because it's kind of hit or miss. That doesn't mean it sucks. I wouldn't go to it just with the intention of buying stuff. Even at Historicon, I have a hard time finding stuff to buy sometimes, and that's the big one. That's the big one. But as I've gone to these conventions, as more and more time goes by, there's less and less stuff that vendors have that interests me. So I guess that's a good problem to have, and I'm not tempted to buy things I don't need. Painting and jibber jabber, that's right. I'm just going to dump this stuff on here. Sounds better than painting and oral diarrhea. What's wrong with that guy? He won't shut up. He's got oral diarrhea. They're going to be finding this stuff. And the foundation of this house for millennia. This damn static grass that gets everywhere. That actually worked really well. I'll take sounds from the back of an Asian kitchen for 1,000 bucks. That's what it sounded like. Come get your food. I almost painted an Asian army next. Dying to paint another Asian army. They're fun as hell. They are fun as hell. The thing that sucks about Asian armies is they got flag problems. You know, you would think that they would have really cool flags. Nah, their flags suck. You know, all the Chinese dynasties just have this flag that just has like a M, like the first letter of the dynasty or something like that. It's like, come on, man. You could have like dragons and shit like that. Nope. No, they don't have stuff like that. Flags suck in the Chinese, Koreans, Japanese. The Japanese aren't so bad, but the Koreans and Chinese have terrible flags, and there's not a whole lot of information on it. You really got to dig deep. All right. This little clown right here. Tweezers. Hunt for the tweezers. There we go. Yeah, it's a little better pulling it out. It's all organized in there, but I'm not a big fan of moving two things to get to one. Gotta go now. Thanks for the help. Tony, Randy, check out those recommendations. Yeah, I don't know if anybody makes decals for that. I want to say they don't. They make flags for some of those guys, but I want to say they don't make the flags. I mean, they don't make the shield emblem stuff. I better be careful how I do this. I don't have a mess on my hands. The only thing I don't like about this basing material as much as the Liquitex is it dries almost a lot harder and you can't push like these tufts into it. just for added security, not necessarily for looks or anything, just for added security of having things look. All right, we're going to put this yellow bastard right here in the middle. And it's a big one, so. I always encourage people to build Asian armies, and I've gotten responses like, "Well, I don't know anything about them." I'm like, well, here's your reason to build them. I didn't know anything about them either. Put one up here. Now let me take a look at it, because I haven't really looked at it. Let's get this out of the way. Let's rinse that. Move that. Let's do a little zoomy zoom. I have an Asian army theme for recon. I do. Asian persuasion. Oh, why is this so washed out looking with this light? This light just kills everything. It doesn't look like that. It doesn't look like that at all. Let's see if we can white balance automatic. Exposure level off. No, we need daylight. Well, that's a little bit better, but they look like crap in the picture. They look good in person. You see pictures of them later. You guys can decide. All right, let's get rid of all this stuff here. Where did I put this other thing? I'm asking to get one of these drinks to fall down. I don't think this is ever going to make it out to the car. It's way too useful here. Way too useful. Oh, it died. Okay. Well, I'll have to find a charger for it. Good thing I was done. Good thing I was done. Let's zoom this the hell out. All right. Now we need to jack this up. And let's get the flags down here. Now we know we're not doing the big one, and we need to make sure we have an X-Acto knife that's fresh. It wouldn't be that one. Yep, that's the fresher one. All right. Let's cut this small one out and the medium sized one out. Just want to get close to the edge. Just so we can kind of put it on the flagpole and decide. The Dracula, I did the small one. So I'd like to do the large one if possible. Let's just cut right at the edge here. Okay, and do the same thing here. And then we'll touch edge to edge. All right, and see if this is too big. It kind of isn't. Because it needs to come up a little bit. The alternative is, I have a flag that's this big. Yeah, I'm gonna use a smaller one. It can get out of control. Just use a smaller one. All right, all this stuff is garbage. Put these two away. Do the same thing over on this side. All right, where is this little guy right here? It's a lot easier to do this on something that's not part of the figure and then transfer it over when I want to seal it. All right. Okay, got that. Now we'll fill the rest in here. But not the part that's close to the flagpole. I don't want to make this too wet, and then I got other issues. Okay. I'm going to put some here at the top, so when we push this down, okay, so this is what the flag looks like, and of course, we're gonna wait for it to dry a little bit, probably in the morning, to trim it. That white that shows looks a lot bigger than it is. It really isn't. And you come in with some thin down paint and clean that up, and it should be fine. It looks a lot bigger than it is. Anyhow, the same thing I did with the Dracula flag. So there it is, a standard of Moldavia. Neat way of mounting the flag. Yeah, it was a pain in the ass doing it all from here. So it's easier to use kind of like a temporary thing. Some people are like, yeah, make the glue a lot more watery and you could do more bends. But the problem is even with these bends right here, the color will still end up getting, I'll get these little creases on it. I don't know if you can see, there is a crease on it. And I'll come in with that red watered down paint and cover that up. You won't be able to see it. The same thing happened with the Dracula one. The Dracula one turned out like I wasn't happy with it. And then ended up covering over a little bit. Because every time you get one of those folds, you've got one of those issues on there. So, nothing that can't be solved by a little bit of patience. So, if you're looking for a quick way to just throw things on there, well, maybe that's not the way to do it. But, yeah. So, once we paint up that flag, they should be good to go. And we'll have pictures of them in the morning. Pictures will look better than... The lighting is just too forced in here. So, anyhow. There you have it. I wanted to tilt it on a little way. I didn't want it sticking out and then you have another stand next to them and they don't fit. Like, really? I really originally wanted to actually do like the border like in black. It doesn't work. Try to match a color that matches the flag. And then it's very forgiving. Very forgiving. So, okay. What's next? Take some time and it should work. That's right. There's no point in taking forever and then rushing this step. All right. Let's do a little something. Give me a second, folks. I make so many mistakes typing. It's really frustrating. It's really, really frustrating. Let's see what we got here. Any of you guys use Reddit? Reddit just seems like a screaming match with everything. It's like, man, I can't seem to... Let's see if we're able to pull this off. Let's see if we're able to pull this off. No. This. 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 Okay. Okay. All right. All right. And then let's lock it. There we go. Because that's what we're working on now. We're working on polls. All right. Speaking of polls, here we go. is this so dang? Why is this so dang blurry? Damn you, Rick, and your corn-fed woman. What's the dang problem? Why is this so blurry? Maybe this? Why is this? Okay. It's all right here. When I zoom out, it's just kind of blurrified. Well, I guess we'll have the camera closer. If that's what it's going to take, well, that's what it's going to take, I guess. All these pieces of cardboard. I'm already creating all this damn chaos everywhere. This is a blue. Blue's up here. Blue's up here. This guy goes here. Put this stuff away. Okay. This cart, won't be doing anything with this cart for a while. You can go back in your hole. Whew. All right. I hate chaos. Now, that's what I thought. I want it to move to the left, so move it to the right. Yep. That's how it is. It doesn't make any sense. All right. So we left off this Polish axeman. He actually looks pretty good. Again, I'm fighting all of the light that's in here. And it's just washing everything out. It actually looks really good. You have to take my word for it. Just wait till we take a picture of him. I don't tinker with my pictures. So it's not like, go in there and like increase the saturation and stuff. No, I just take pictures of what they look like. But they look a lot better in pictures than they do in video. All right, we said this guy was going to be a blonde. Okay? And we needed to do Nuln Oil on his thing. Let's do the Nuln Oil first because it's going to take a little while for it to set. And we want to make sure that that's done when we get to the point of having to use it. So Nuln Oil is hanging out back here. What time is it? That's early, 7:30. Early. Yeah, I'm not going to have a Polish flag for this army because it's just the Allies. So I don't want this guy to look like he's a freaking general. Even the nightstands. I don't want him to look like this, the leader. Now, if I ever finish the rest of the Polish troops for the rest of the army, for the rest of the Polish army, of course there's going to be flags. All right. Beard. We said we're going to make this guy blonde. Blondo Beardo. brown out here. Jeez, what was I thinking? I need to be drug tested. That's a huge brush. That's never a good solution for me. Drug testing. Here's a waste of time. Essex, he is. More Essex. And to think that my first 15 millimeter experience with Essex was just horrible. I had a horrible first experience with Essex. And I had a horrible second experience with Essex too. And till I realized I just have to pick my own figures. Not whatever they decide to throw in the army pack. That doesn't really work for me. Now, Old Glory actually makes axemen as well. They have a different type of hat. I have some of them, but these are kind of an earlier period ones. Whereas the other ones are definitely a Renaissance period. So I wanted to go with these. Good thing about the yellow being so watery, it's alive for a few days. It's alive for quite a few days there. So if I ever decide to build a later Polish army, I'll already have 3 or 4 of these elements made. Okay. His hat, we're probably going to do some kind of a gray color, but we're going to use a gray that is dissimilar to his jacket. Your first miniatures were Der Kriegsspieler Napoleonics. DKN. Pretty rough. I have them still. I've never seen them. I've never seen them. Some of the first 15s, I actually did have some 15s a long time ago that I painted for, God, when we were doing American Civil War. I know that sounds strange, but You know, I was a kid and I hated American Civil War, but I painted some units anyways, and they were Stone Mountain miniatures. It was in the mid '80s, and really don't care for ACW. This guy's got a funny face, like, you know, he's saying, I love it when a plan comes together, or something like that. I always want to get excited about ACW gaming, never could. I enjoy reading about its history, just can't get into the gaming. I can't get into the history either. Not my thing. Maybe lots of people are into it because they have ancestors that fought on one side or both of the conflict. I don't. So there's zero tie-in for that for me. Zero tie-in. I gotta be careful. I don't want to make this guy look like the damn Pillsbury Doughboy. You have to take this up with Chef Yaroslav. What, don't like my goulash? I will behead you. Ah, Kimberly Norgath. Imposter. can't do that from this screen. I got to go to this one. God, they make it so difficult to get rid of spammers. They make it so difficult to get rid of spammers. Report. Unwanted content or spam. Okay. Not into the period for gaming, but I love Civil War as history. Yeah. Well, you're lucky. There's lots of stuff to read about that doesn't interest me in the least. ACW is really just an infantry slog. Cavalry had no major battlefield role, even though artillery was not that key. Huh. Yeah. I don't really like the time period. I don't like the history. I don't like the uniforms. I don't like the music. Should I continue? There's only one thing I like about ACW. That my hero sculptor made a whole line for Old Glory. His ACW figures are gorgeous. But that's it. If I had to do it, I would do his figures, but other than that, it's just not my thing. Not my thing. Let's get some mithril silver. Let's just cut to the chase. Let's make some shiny blade part. I don't think we need the medium shade in here. Let's see. Okay. What do we got left? Boots, belt, and a saber. Now the belt looks like it's just made of cord. Let's paint it white. That'll make it stand out a little bit. It's funny, my dad liked history too, and he didn't like the Civil War, so maybe I get it from him. Maybe I get it from him. Now, what color to do the saber? I think just a simple leather type color. I think that should be fine. Let's get a different brown. Who is your hero sculptor? Mine is his lordship, as he is called, Anthony Barton. I think Anthony Barton is really good, but a lot of his guys look the same. I don't mean it in a bad way. I think that he has a very he has good faces. I have some of his figures in 20 millimeter. I just don't have any of them painted. I got like tank crews and stuff like that. My hero painter is Dave Alsop. My hero painter is Dave Alsop. And there's not even a picture of him. I have no idea what this guy looked like. And he's one of the guys that started Old Glory. And it's because of his 20 millimeter figures that I really fell in love with his sculpting style. And then he made 15, some of the original like Austrian Napoleonics and stuff. I remember these. They have these Austrian figures that have helmet. He has a very distinct. I mean, I think it's distinct poses. It's his poses that are really freaking good. They're better than anything I've seen. They suit me really well. So they kind of look like an oil painting look to them. And just like I had this one teacher in college, man, I wish he would have taught me everything. I would take every single thing that person would have taught. Same thing. I'd paint everything this sculptor did. And he actually has a series. He does Napoleonics and 15s. He passed away like around 1990, I think. I understand a car rolled on him. He was working on a car and it rolled on him. Oops. And that's all I know. And but he did do 15 millimeter American Civil War, and he has a general pack. And just like Games Workshop has the names of the figures here on the bottom, they used to have like this one says it's a wolf. His 15 millimeter ACW say who the guy is, so it'll get Grant or Lee or you know, and the sculpting of those guys, they look freaking awesome because they look just like the. It's unbelievable. It's just absolutely unbelievable. So I still don't want to do ACW, but if I had to, that's what I would go to. And my hero sculptor, yep. Yeah, I might have been a dick in real life. I don't know. He's my hero sculptor. His poses were just amazing. All right, now we gotta do that big, yeah, there's that big bronze turd. I knew there was turdliness left. Well, that's all that's showing there. And we need to do some brown boots and we're done with this guy. I bet we could probably paint this flag now, the edge. We'll do that next. Is chocolate brown out here? Yes, it is. Chocolate brown's hanging out over here. Anthony Barton is many people's favorite sculptor. And I don't have a problem with his sculpting. He just didn't make much. When I was doing World War II stuff, he had just, he didn't have that much. He had like tank crews and stuff. I think he had just started getting into the infantry. So I don't have any of his like infantry stuff. But because he makes like Soviet squads and stuff like that. He makes a couple packs of Soviet squads now. And that's what I would have gotten from him. Because I'm a big fan of Eastern Front stuff. But I started playing this DBA type game and didn't buy any more 20 mils. So the other thing my hero sculptor has is he has a lot of different poses. Because since I'm doing skirmish, I really want all my figures to look different. Because I give them surnames and stuff on them. So I don't want a bunch of figures in the same pose. So that's how his figures are. All right, we're done with him. Let's set him off to the side. Never pay any old glory. My brother-in-law swears by them. I try not to be a D in real life. So many others today seem to have that roll down pat. No. Yes, they do. Till recently, AV only had Brits and German infantry. He's an extensive range of American and Soviet infantry now. Yeah, I like all those. I would have picked them up if I was still doing that stuff, but I got tons of them to paint. Now, I got to decipher what red I want this to be. And I think and it's in between the two. I don't think I need to do scarlet. I think I need to do flat red. I need to do flat red. We need some extra drippings because they're going to come in handy here. Oh, and then we have red. No, I think the one that called flat red is the one that one's a little too much orange in it. That's the scarlet. That's the orangish, the most orange one. Yeah. Let's do this one. All right. Let's get a brush we have a lot of confidence in. That's important for what we're about to do. Where's my device? Getting really fed up with moving 7 things to get to 1. And it's organized. All right. Yeah, that's going to be damn near invisible. But you got to thin this stuff down or... Yep. That's the ticket. And you can use the side of the bristles. I don't want it to go on the other side just yet. That is the ticket. And make that little white line disappear completely. Hell yeah. Not my first rodeo. This enamel thinner, this airbrush thinner is really amazing. It allows your paint to apply so much smoother than water. It's expensive, but it lasts a long time. I'll definitely be buying it again. I bought it on a whim back when I bought the airbrush, and I wanted to get some good thinner for the airbrush. And I saw a couple of videos, and this one guy had this video, and he says, "Oh yeah, you need to make your own Jesus juice," is what he called it, and basically his own mixture of, and it used a lot of these products. It used distilled water. It used some of this airbrush thinner. It used some, I want to say it used detergent, a tiny little bit. Glass cleaner. And it never worked out for me. The airbrush thing didn't work out for me. I'd used an airbrush in the past. I just don't want to dedicate the amount of time that I need to clean the airbrush. You know, and I have the airbrush in the garage, and the garage is almost always hot. So, just a lot of things that didn't work out. But it made me buy this overpriced thinner that I had no use for. So I decided to try it on a whim for this, and the rest is history. It's probably more useful than the wet palette. That's how strongly I swear by this stuff. It's literally a game changer. Is it keeps your paint from sticking to the paintbrush and drying your paintbrush out. It sure seems that way. Okay, now there's no white edges at all. Hmm. Where's my controls here to zoom in? Too zoomed in. Anyhow, there you have it. The Wallachian banner. Jesus, I've been on here 2 hours? I had no idea. Okay. Well, that's going to be it for tonight. We'll be back on in the morning. Before 6 a.m., hopefully. And we'll have some work on some Polish guys. Got one Polish guy done. So, what brand? That's the Vallejo. Vallejo airbrush thinner. This stuff right here. It runs about $20, or it used to. And it has almost the consistency. It feels like saline solution. The plate armor looks great. It doesn't. It does, but it doesn't in this picture. So, in this feed, we'll try to take some pictures of it and show